Now, what about Topuria and Islam? Could that fight happen?
Yep, that can happen too.
I'd like to see that fight.
You know, I think everybody wants to see that fight, including Topuria and Islam. So.
Yeah.
You know, there's the John Jones and the Alex Bahia fight. Everyone keeps talking about that being the biggest fight. I heard Joe Rogan talking about it's the biggest fight you could possibly make. But then there's also people that say the Ilia Topuria and the Islam fight is the biggest fight you can make.
I think right now, I think Topuria Islam can be biggest fight, not John Jones and Pereira.
Still a big fight, but not at the level.
No, it's still big fight, but not on that level.
No, not on that level.
I don't think it's same level.
Well, I think, in my opinion, it favors us even more so, you know, because now Ilia, he's 5'6", right? 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
So he's definitely, you know, he's going to be strong as a fire plug for darn sure. But, you know, putting on that extra weight, I don't know. His speed isn't going to be there. The power will be there.
Just ahead of UFC 322, Dana White dropped a bombshell. Islam Makhachev will face Ilia Topuria next. Fans didn't see this one coming. Islam's dominance at lightweight against Topuria's fiery rise at featherweight. That's a clash of killers right there. The announcement instantly set the MMA world buzzing, with everyone debating who truly holds the edge.
185, I'm gonna be fit, you know. I feel it's gonna be hard, you know. It's not gonna be my weight.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's gonna be too big.
When Dana White started talking about Islam and Ilia, you could tell he wasn't just hyping something up for the cameras. He mentioned how things have played out exactly the way Khabib's father once imagined. Islam taking over the division, carrying that same calm dominance. It was one of those moments where you realize this story really came full circle.
Can't do it anymore, and his dad had this plan where Khabib would win, be dominant, and then he would step down and Islam would slide in. And it actually played out exactly the way his dad said it would, which never happened, ever. Right? You go to any gym in the world, they'll tell you, this guy's going to be the world champion. Not only did his dad say that his son would be, he said that Islam would be too.
Right.
And he was absolutely right.
Right after that, the topic shifted toward Ilia Topuria. Dana described him in a way that made it clear he's earned his spot. At first, he thought Ilia was just another loud personality, but over time, he's seen how sharp and dangerous he actually is. You could tell Dana respects the guy, especially when he talked about how clean his striking looks.
Completely, yeah. And how often does that happen?
Right.
Not usually.
We roll into New York on Saturday, and Islam is actually moving up a weight class to win another belt in another weight division.
And that could happen.
It could happen.
Jack?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, what about Topuria and Islam? Could that fight happen?
Yep. That can happen too.
I'd like to see that fight.
You know, I think everybody wants to see that fight, including Topuria and Islam. So.
Yeah. He's a different bird, that Topuria, huh?
Yeah.
I thought he was just cocky at the beginning. But he's the real deal.
He really is.
Man, those hands are like, he's almost like a regular, he hits like almost a real fighter, you know, like a prize fighter.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of the UFC guys, I mean, McGregor was a good boxer, but this guy is like razor sharp.
Khabib Nurmagomedov also spoke about the Islam versus Ilia matchup. He mentioned how people might see the John Jones and Pereira fight as massive, but to him, Islam versus Ilia is the real story. There's something about the mix of styles, the unbeaten streaks, and the energy around it that makes it feel bigger than any other fight right now. You could sense he respects Ilia's talent, but still believes Islam's discipline and years of hard work will be too much.
But then there's also people that say the Ilia Topuria and the Islam fight is the biggest fight you can make.
I think right now, I think Topuria Islam can be biggest fight, not John Jones and Pereira.
Still a big fight, but not at the level.
No, it's still big fight, but not on that level.
No, not on that level.
I don't think it's same level.
After Khabib shared his thoughts on Islam and Ilia, it didn't take long for Chael Sonnen to jump into the mix. He picked up right where Khabib left off. Chael started connecting the dots, saying that even though the White House event isn't confirmed yet, the buzz around it is real. He pointed out that among all the possible fights floating around, like John Jones versus Pereira, or Khamzat versus Bo Nickel, and Islam versus Ilia stands out. He described it as the one the UFC seems most interested in right now, the kind of fight that could shift everything depending on timing and performance.
And Ariel said to me, what do you think they're going to do? And I go, well,
You know, what the bigger fights are, what the biggest fight is that they're working on, what they are currently working. There's changes, right? There's changes week to week. But the answer to the question for right now, and what I told Ariel, is Islam Makhachev versus Ilia Topuria. That is the fight that is tentatively penciled in. Now, Chimaev and Bo Nickel, by the way, you tell me what you want about that right now. I'm telling you, by that time is a potential. And then, of course, you've got the John Jones, Alex Pereira.
Then he got into comparisons. Chael brought up how Khabib believes Islam versus Ilia is bigger than John Jones versus Pereira. And even though Chael didn't fully agree, he didn't dismiss it either. He said it's close enough that a big win from either fighter could tilt the scales completely. What he liked most about Khabib's take was that it opened the door for conversation. It got people thinking about which fight really defines this new era of MMA.
Islam versus Ilia is. Okay. He's not right, but he's not wrong by much. So, you know, what would put you over that hump? Well, one of them fighting. I mean, quite simply, Islam having a great performance at Madison Square Garden, becoming, I guess, what we would look at as champ, not technically champ, but what we would view as champ. That would add to it. Ilia is supposedly doing something on Paramount in a couple of months. Let's say that goes well. You know, the fight right now of Ilia Islam versus Jones Pereira, it's a close enough battle in terms of you're just trying to predict what the bigger fight is. It's a close enough battle that if you threw a little fuel on one of those fights, it would take the lead.
But where Chael really stood out was when he started talking about how the fight should actually happen. He hinted that Khabib and his team might be focusing too much on weight divisions and belts instead of the bigger picture. Chael made it sound like the smartest move would be to make it happen at 170. He said that would open the door for something even more historic, a possible champ versus champ scenario that could make the fight unforgettable.
If Islam and Ilia fight, the question becomes, whose belt are we fighting over? And they want Khabib, they want to come down to 155. That's the part, they get that out of their head. Build into this, all you want is the fight, right? It doesn't matter whose belt. You just want to beat the other guy and have that for your legacy. The story is bigger, because if we do it at 170, now have the opportunity for the first ever champ.
When Javier Mendez was asked about the idea of Islam fighting Ilia, he explained that Islam's focus isn't on jumping around divisions for the sake of it, especially not all the way up to middleweight. He made it clear that 170 is where Islam's eyes are right now, and if anything's gonna happen with Ilia, that's where it'll happen.
He's a small 170, so to go even consider 185, he'd have to be walking around, you know, 210, 215, and he's walking around 190. So I think that's going to be, you know, ridiculous to even consider him going to 185. So I'm just seeing you asking this question because everybody does. So I'm just answering the question already that we're not looking at 185. I seriously doubt he is also. He's only looking at 170 and then the White House card, if it can happen.
When the topic turned to how Ilia would handle moving up, Javier gave a very straightforward answer. He talked about Ilia's size, how he's strong and explosive, but much smaller in frame compared to Islam. You could sense a bit of confidence in his tone. It wasn't arrogance, just the feeling that they've already thought through how that fight would play out. He mentioned how adding too much weight could affect Ilia's speed, something that might tip the balance toward Islam.
Ilia Topuria moving up to welterweight to fight him in that weight class. How drastically does that change what the fight would look like between him and Islam, in your opinion?
Well, I think, in my opinion, it favors us even more so, you know, because now Ilia, he's 5'6", right? 5'6", 5'7".
Yeah.
So he's definitely, you know, he's going to be strong as a fire plug for darn sure. But, you know, putting on that extra weight, I don't know. His speed isn't going to be there. The power.
He also hinted that Islam and the team were already ready for that kind of fight if it ever came their way. It wasn't something new for them. Javier mentioned how Islam had been eyeing the welterweight title for a while, and that the timing just worked out when other contenders fell through. You could tell they view every move as part of a bigger plan, not just chasing hype fights.
Let's see. But regardless, we were ready to fight him back then if we had to. But the bottom line is, he wanted that welterweight title, so he was waiting to find out what was going to happen between Bilal, and Jack. So when Bilal lost, that was the opportunity he wanted, because we had discussed way before that we even knew who, Ilia was going to fight.
Bilal Muhammad jumped in with a sharp, focused prediction, and he didn't hold back. He gave credit where it was due, calling Ilia Topuria's finish over Charles Oliveira impressive. Not just because of the knockout, but because Ilia predicted it and delivered. But Bilal was more interested in what that win really means moving forward.
Oliveira, it's a tough one, man. It's a tough one to go with. I don't know if it's vision problem or, honestly, I'm going to say I think he's like blind or just has really bad vision, because every single one of those fights, he has to move forward. He has to be in your face. And you don't want to be in Topuria's face, who has shorter arms, who has heavier punches than him. I think he should have played it longer, and if you were going to be on the inside, you had to grapple. He initiated the grappling, he tried the grapple. I know he played bottom a little bit, but when Topuria let him up, it should have been back to grappling, playing that game, getting out of the round. You got to feel for his strength. Topuria did a beautiful job of slipping that cross and just reading him. He knew the jab cross hook was going to come. Oliveira is very simple with his combination.
Bilal pointed out that while Topuria showed good takedown defense and some ground awareness against Oliveira, fighting Islam Makhachev is a different challenge entirely. He believes Islam wouldn't just shoot once or twice. He'd chain his attempts, push Ilia to the fence, and control him for round after round. He explained that Islam fights smart. He avoids the chaotic mid-range where Ilia thrives. If Islam is close, he's grappling. If he's far, he's kicking. That kind of range control, Bilal said, makes it hard for a power striker like Topuria to get into rhythm.
I mean, he looked great. For me, when I look at that matchup and I break it down, I think Islam is very good with defense and with distance. If he's close, he's grappling. He's not staying in that brawling zone that Topuria loves. If he's within grabbing your range, he's grabbing you. And I don't care if Topuria is able to defend the first or second takedown, Islam's gonna keep you there. He's gonna push you on the cage. If I'm in Islam's corner, that's what I'm doing. I'm keeping him there, especially for the first, second, third round, trying to initiate that takedown. Oliveira got the body lock pretty early. Islam is really good there with the trips, with the body locks, with the single legs there. I think he would have continued grappling there, and it would have been a lot more interesting. It would have definitely got past the first round, and we would have seen how Topuria held up. He didn't really need to show his cardio. That one's a fun one, man. I'm excited.
Bilal added that while Ilia's power carried over at lightweight, Charles isn't the perfect test he's been dropped in the past, and Bilal wants to see Ilia against someone more durable before fully buying into his power at 155.
The last couple fights that he is comfortable on the feet. He's fought the shorter guy in Volkanovski, and he's played a little bit striking. He showed moments in that fight where he knocked him out with a head kick. And then the Dustin fight, he showed his boxing. He showed that he can hit on the feet. I think with Topuria, who does have really good grappling, really good wrestling, he's gonna wanna push Islam backwards, keeping Islam on his back foot, keeping Islam's against the cage where he's uncomfortable, and he's really good with his feigning. He doesn't really throw a lot of kicks. On the other side, Islam is really good with his kicks. If he mixes the kicks up low, body high, Islam's not gonna be in that boxing range.
Bilal made it clear that Topuria is legit, but Islam is built to shut down fighters like him. If the fight were to happen, Bilal believes Islam's pressure, defense, and pace would be too much, especially over 5 rounds. Dustin Poirier also weighed in with his take when asked who should be next for Ilia Topuria. He didn't hold back. He mentioned how crowded and confusing things already are at lightweight, throwing out names like Justin Gaethje, but quickly shutting down any talk of Islam Makhachev. Poirier respects Ilia's knockout power, but thinks jumping from featherweight straight to Islam is too much too soon. The size, the wrestling, and the experience, it's a different world. While he admits Ilia could knock out anyone from 145 to 170, Poirier feels he should defend his featherweight belt a few more times before chasing a fight that massive.
Who do you think should be next for Ilia?
Who should be next for Ilia? 55 has always been so cloudy at the top. Maybe Gaethje. I think him going to 170 to fight Islam, if Islam wins, is a stretch. You know, Islam's big, man. I've never seen Ilia in person, but he seems smaller. I know obviously he can knock anyone out. I do think if they fight, Ilia can knock anybody out from 45 to 170. He has the skills, the power, the technique, and but we've just never seen him in there with somebody that big and somebody with that caliber of wrestling. But I think he should defend the 55 title a few times before that's talked about. We'll see.
When Islam was asked about fighting Ilia, he didn't rush into an answer. He took a second, thought it through, and you could tell he wasn't just giving a media-friendly reply. He said if everything goes to plan and he wins the welterweight title, that fight could actually happen, maybe even somewhere as huge as the White House. He didn't sound like a guy chasing headlines, though. When the idea of 185 came up, he said that would be too much. You could sense he knows his limits and doesn't want to just move up for the sake of it. For him, 170 feels right. It's where he believes he can still perform at his best without losing his edge.
Do you see yourself fighting Ilia Topuria if you know after winning this title?
26, maybe. I want to fight in White House.
The biggest fight you could possibly make in the sport right now is you get the win against welterweights to fight Ilia Topuria. The two of you guys. What's your thoughts on that? Give me a prediction. I asked Javier the same question. Give me a prediction on 2026. Obviously, you're the welterweight champion. Like, do you see yourself fighting Ilia Topuria if you know after winning this title? That's one. Two is for 2026. Do you see yourself potentially going to 185 to try for that third title?
185, I'm gonna be fit, you know. I feel it's gonna be hard, you know. It's not gonna be my weight.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's gonna be too big, you know. And for the 26, maybe I want to fight in White House.
So now that Dana has confirmed it and both camps have spoken, it's clear this isn't just talk anymore. Islam looks ready for another massive test, and Ilia seems hungry to prove he can hang with the best beyond featherweight. Whether it happens at 170 or somewhere else, this fight could define a new era in MMA. Let us know in the comments below who you think takes it.